Right, hello, yes, welcome back to the xSmithyx YouTube channel, here today for a brand new video. Finally returning to our sim racing roots as we look at round number 12 of the JGRL eSports season. It has been a while since we last uploaded this series, so if you have missed the last episode, do go and check it out for the Japanese Grand Prix. But we are getting towards the end of this season now in a battle for second in the championship. There is only 2 rounds left that I'll be racing in, this one today and the next time out for the French Grand Prix. So if you are enjoying this series and you do want to see it continue for the next season of the Esports League, leave a like on the video, let me know in the comments below if you're enjoying it, and if the demand is there, we shall continue this series. So today we are here for the Russian Grand Prix, not a track I particularly enjoy, I'm not going to lie, it is a bit of a snooze fest. We saw it in the real life F1 a couple of weeks ago, was a bit boring. Hopefully that won't be the case today and we can have a bit of an exciting episode for you guys. Hopefully it will be a good one and we can add to our tally of 2 race wins so far this season, because we've definitely looked like we've deserved more, obviously having a few races taken away from us, but let's see what we can do today as we go to qualifying for the Russian Grand Prix. So here we are then in Q1, about to start our one and only flying lap for this session. Again, like I said, not a track I particularly enjoy this one, so we're going to go on board for this lap. We're going to see what we can manage on our first lap around this Sochi circuit. Down this very long straight, we've just gone through turn 1 there, not really a corner, more of a kink to be honest. Into the first real corner of the track, down into third gear, go a little bit too wide there on the exit. Not the ideal line through there, but as this is Q1, no real harm done. So as we come through this very long left-hander, not really sure where to change up there, but we're going to slam onto the brakes into one of Sochi's many 90-degree corners. One of the reasons I don't really enjoy this track, you see Haymaker there going fastest so far in Q1, through another 90-degree corner, making sure not to run too wide there into the next corner, which you can get away with cutting quite a lot, as we do right there. Getting away with the corner cutting due to the reduced rules, so hopefully we can continue to get away with those as the race goes on. Through this middle sector, again, just more 90-degree corners, down a couple of gears into here, 4th gear on the exit, as we go into this very long DRS straight, one of the main overtaking points on this track. Down the straight, just nothing to do except pick out your braking points. A very tricky braking zone this one actually, as you turn in the car as you try and brake. It's not a straight braking zone. You need to get the car slowed down there. You see we run a little bit wide on the exit, compromises the line through this corner as we come towards this very difficult off-camber chicane. Very difficult to know where to place the car there. We hit the curb on the inside, which disrupted the line. Try and get a nice drive off the exit towards the last 2 corners on the track. 2 90-degree corners, you see down to 4th gear there. Going to squirt the throttle very slightly down into 2nd just to get the car turned in and across the line. That was a 1:32.5. We did go out again later on in the session, did improve very slightly, but as you can see, easily through Q1 there, so that's very good to see so far. Definitely hoping this weekend we can be in for the fight for another podium, maybe even another race win. As we go into Q2 here you can see just slightly abusing the track limits rules a little bit, because you can get away with running wide there on these reduced settings. I have already set a lap in this session, as you can see the delta, we are a little bit down on it, but I wanted to see if we could maybe gain a little bit of time there heading into Q3. Every little does help in this kind of session with the people being as quick as they are. Obviously Chris has been an absolute machine this season, Connor looking for a bounce back result this time out, Evan's been very quick at times, we've had Kai winning the last race. So we're hoping to try and just find a little bit of an advantage here and there around this circuit. Obviously a very hard track to try and gain time legitimately through. You'll see a lot of people cutting corners, let's say, or running a little bit wide as we do here. We just plant the throttle. Actually did cost us a little bit of time there, so I'm going to let myself off with that one. But especially this corner, you just jump straight across that curb and there's absolutely no deterrent to doing it. Obviously I think in real life the sausage curb is a bit bigger. As you see we get a bit of oversteer there. Yeah, the sausage curb there is a little bit bigger in real life, so that does tend to slow the cars down, means you can't cut that corner, but in the game, abuse it away if you're not on strict corner cutting, that is. As we come down this very long DRS straight, you see we are purple to the first sector. Only a personal best middle sector, it's not the fastest of the session. You see through this corner, I remember on the first lap I lost a lot of time through here. Just very awkward, especially on a controller, because you can't really control your line very well. It's sort of just throw it in and that's the line you're on. We come through here, nice exit through there. You can see we gained about 3/10 through that part of the lap. Coming into the final corner, you see we've got one of the cars there going into the pits. But as we come across the line, it is going to be a huge improvement, and we set a 1:30.9, which does put it through into Q2 and actually fastest by quite some way. So we're putting down a banker here. We want to try and get another pole position. Obviously we know, we've seen in the last few weeks, Evan's very good in qualifying. Like I said, Chris being way down there, he's definitely going to be much more in the fight as we go into Q3. And speaking of Q3, here we go. You can see we've done a Lewis Hamilton. We have crossed the line with just 2 seconds left trying to get the best track conditions as we can as we come now down this pit straight using absolute maximum revs. This is going to be a maximum attack lap here as we aim to secure another pole position. We're going to throw it into turn 1, bit too much speed. Oh, unfortunately my Elgato there stopped working, so we're going to completely ignore that corner. We're going to come around now through this long left-hander, hoping to gain a bit more time. We're up by 2/10. Here we go into the braking zone. We turn it in once again, and oh, yep. Don't know what's happening with my Elgato there. Ignore that warning track limits. I don't think me cut corners. That's never going to happen. Go a little bit wide there. Does end up costing us a little bit of time as we come into this corner now. We're going to turn in. Oh, once again, my Elgato seems to have broken there. It looked like we turned in a bit too early, but I would never do that. So as we come through here, there has been a collision just in front of us. We do get very, very lucky with that. You see, we're about 3/10 up at this stage of the lap. Very nice exit there. You can see the time's going up. The delta is going down. Can we get pole position? Can we snatch a pole position out of this one? You can see my first lap in the session was a 1:31.5, so that's some way off the time that we did manage in Q2, so this lap will be much faster. You can see just through that part alone we've gained nearly 0.3 of a second. We had an awful line through there on the first lap. We're coming into this very awkward last chicane again through here, hopefully trying to maximise the exit, up by 9/10, nearly a second now as Connor goes fastest with a 1:30.8. That is a very, very good lap time. Can we try and beat it? Round the final corner, slightly cut that, but you can get away with it, and we cross the line to set a 1:30.4, completely legit. I don't know what you're on about, you didn't see anything, and that lap did put us on pole position. So we're going to take that into the race, and hopefully we can win this Grand Prix a little bit more legitimately than that qualifying lap. Here we can see, looking at the race strategy, there's not really much difference around this track because the tyre wear is basically non-existent. You could probably run a set of tyres to the end of the race if you so wanted to. So we are going to stick on the one stop on the soft to the medium compound tyre. Hopefully we can get a win in this Grand Prix. We're starting from pole position. We've shown very good pace when we've actually kept it on the track. So here we go then. 2 5 red lights, starting on the soft compound tyres. Lights out and away we go. A very, very poor start there. Didn't react at all well, and Connor has absolutely flown past us before we even get to the first corner that's not actually a corner. So we're going to come down here now. We're under pressure from B Dodo in the Alpha Tower. You can see he's gone in there. There is a car up the inside, but we're going to brake very late. We're going to take the apex for this corner. We end up running wide. We sort of forced Dodo wide as well. He goes off the track even wider than I did and takes a position. Very questionable move there, but he has got the place. So we are going to have to try and hunt him down and get that position back if we want to win this race. But that has been an absolutely dreadful start there. See, we're all running a little bit wide on the exit of that corner. We're already building a gap back to P4. So the front three trying to pull away now. Obviously we're starting on the softs. You can see Dodo in front also on the soft tyres. X O'Connor has started on the medium, so he might be a little bit susceptible to pressure on these opening few laps while he tries to get those tyres up to temperature. So we've got to try and get this move done. You can see coming into the next corner, we're going to bump it up to rich revs. This is, like I said in qualifying, one of the best overtaking points on the track, but we didn't really get the exit there. So we're not going to be able to put pressure on B Dodo. We are gaining down this straight though, with this great straight line speed we appear to have around this circuit, but it's not going to be enough to have a dive. Like I said, this braking zone incredibly difficult. We're just going to throw the nose in. Obviously we threw the nose in a little bit too much there, but we're just going to throw the nose in, see if we can put him under pressure. He's run wide on the exit here, so we're going to try and get the move done here. He brakes very late. We're going to try and get a cut back, just not able to get the traction though. Bit of oversteer, and that has put pay to that move. So at the end of the first lap, it is going to be X O'Connor who leads us around just ahead of B Dodo, then myself, all covered by about 1.4 seconds. So a very, very interesting battle here, with a bit of a gap behind, 2.5 seconds back to Evan, with Logan Josh surprisingly doing very, very well this weekend. He's up in a P5, so improved massively over the course of the last few races. Once again, in the slipstream of Dodo, we're going to go for a huge dive into this corner so much later on the brakes. Bit of contact there was made. We'd make the corner, Dodo doesn't, and once again cutting across the corner and stays in front of us. So we're going to have to try and get this move done. Maybe put a bit of manners on the new guy. Just put him in place maybe a little bit as we send it up the inside here. Run it wide to the line. Force him wide. And that is us up into P2. But we've got to run here. I'm going to back out of it though. And into the corner. We get a massive punt from behind. A huge amount of oversteer there. So very aggressive driving at the start of this one. But unfortunately a VSC then comes out as Kai has retired from this Grand Prix. I'm not entirely sure what's happened to him. If we look at the minimap, it's on the exit of that very long left-hander, so I'm not really sure how he's managed to crash there, as we have a phantom wheel sticking through the track. Not entirely sure what's going on there, as we see a little bit of a connection issue there for the voice chat that we're all in. But this VSC is going to calm things down. The VSC ends very, very quickly actually, quite surprising. So we're going to see if we can catch Connor napping a little bit here. Obviously on those mediums, it's going to be a bit harder to keep him up to temperature, so we're going to gun it now down this straight. see if we can put him under pressure into this braking zone. We brake a little bit early because, like I said, I don't want to catch myself out because we do have pressure coming from behind. But now we are setting our sights forward, trying to take this race lead away from X O'Connor, our main rival for P2 in this championship. He goes quite wide there. I think he clipped that curb on the inside. So we're going to get an absolute run now. We're going to use a little bit of ERS here, much more alongside. See, Connor backs out of that move because he knows he can't really defend in that position. And we are going to be leading the pack round on the end of lap 2. So it's only taken us 2 laps to get our position back. We're going to have to be a little bit careful here because of the DRS. We don't want to be re-overtaken down the straight. But we do have a nice comfortable gap, and that is us back into the lead of the Russian Grand Prix. Exactly the start, well, maybe not exactly the start I wanted. I would have preferred to keep the lead, but you know, beggars can't be choosers, and we have the lead of the race now. You see in the top left there, Evan has closed back up to this pack, just 1.9 seconds behind. So hopefully now we can try and build this gap up while we're on these soft tyres and Connor's on the mediums. Hope that he can try and hold the pack back as we go on and try and get the win in this race. Now we cut on to the end of that lap. You can see this is the pace in clean air. We come around the final corner, set the fastest lap, but you can see the gap back to Connor in second is up to 2.5 seconds. So in one lap alone we've gained nearly 2 seconds on him, and this is what we need to do because we need to win this race to keep the championship fight alive. Chris there in P5, if he finishes in second in this race, he will have secured the championship a few rounds early, and we definitely don't want that to happen. Not entirely sure what's going on behind, as Connor's just lost 2 positions on those mediums. Not looking comfortable on them at all, but we are not involved in that fight. We're trying to scamper away with this race lead, and that is going to be crucial for us because later on in this race we are going to have to contend with Connor and Chris coming back on much fresher and much softer tyres. So we've got to build this gap now while we can, while we have the clean air in front of us, and hopefully use some of that pace that we've got to try and win this Grand Prix. We're going to jump ahead now all the way to lap 10, and you can see we are still leading the race, and you can see on the minimap and on the gap in the top left just how much pace we had over the people behind. Evan did manage to get up into P2, so some great driving from him there, but he's about 4 seconds back. But you can see the gap to Chris and Connor. We've got a 10-second lead to those guys. We've really been attacking, building up that buffer in this race, and that is absolutely what we needed to do because, like I said, later on in the Grand Prix we are going to be on the mediums as we come into the pits now, in fact, for those medium tyres. Nearly lose it on the entry, so that would have been certainly less than ideal, but we are going to be the first person into the pits. Evan is going to follow us, so hopefully we can get a clear stop. No one else is coming into the pit, so we should get a clean pit stop here and not get held up by anyone, and that is going to be ideal for us as we aim to take this race win. You can see everyone who's not pitted yet does fly past, including B Dodo, who incredibly goes an insane amount of laps around this track on that soft set of tyres. Probably more than he should have done, but he's trying to fight Connor and Chris, so I can sort of understand why he wanted to stay out. But we have had a nice clear pit stop. We're going to come out, unfortunately, in a little bit of traffic here just behind Logan Josh, so we're going to need to clear him as quickly as possible to try and use some of these fresh tyres, use the pace that they're going to have. Hopefully we can try and get past him as quickly as possible. So as we come now, we're going to use a little bit of ERS here. Hopefully we can get this move done into this corner. It gives us a space, and that is a very easy move as we move up back into P4. And now we've just got to get our heads down, use this fresh set of tyres. As you can see, Connor's only 12 seconds up the road after that pit stop, so just going to try and close that gap up as much as we can. We've got a lapped car in front of us and nothing to worry about there, so this is going to be a key part of the race now. Just making sure we can try and build that gap with the undercut just to protect ourselves later on. And as we cut on to lap 14, you can see the gap in front of us dropped incredibly quickly. I was very surprised about this actually. You can see B Dodo and X O'Connor were 12 seconds up the road, and then in the space of about 3 laps we've got that gap down as well to B Dodo anyway, down to less than a second now already. He is interesting, like I said, he's still on that set of tyres, the soft compound tyres that he started this race on and did Q2 on. So maybe not the best strategy to have gone with in this race. It probably would have served him a little bit better to pit earlier and try and get the undercut, but he was trying to battle X O'Connor, who, as I said, is only 2.5 seconds up the road himself. So that's very interesting to see that we've closed that gap back up. Essentially we are now a pit stop ahead of these guys, and that means that we really should be coming out ahead of them and have a nice buffer. There we see B Dodo finally coming into the pits, promoting us into P3 finally for this race, back onto the podium where we are aiming to be. And now we're going to set after X O'Connor, just 2 seconds ahead. Chris, we can see there, has managed to keep pace a little bit. He's just under 10 seconds ahead of us. As we come on to the end of the next lap, that gap stays pretty similar, so his pace is looking pretty good still on those medium tyres. Connor's, on the other hand, he appears to have slipped off the cliff. We are now in DRS range of him as we come down this main straight. Can we try and get a move done? It looks like we are a little bit too far back here. We just put the nose out a little bit. Very fortunately though, Connor just lets us go at this point. I'm very surprised to see that, because like I said, we are battling for P2 in the championship, but I think his thinking was we just want to stop Chris from winning it at this race really. So he lets us go, very, very thankful for that. Loses a bit of time in his race, but it means that we get a clear run through that corner, and we can set off trying to close down now on Chris Beats. The gap now just under 9 seconds, so I think his tyres have started to go off on this lap. And sure enough, we come to the end of lap 16, round in the final corner, a lap car in front of us, and Chris does finally come into the pits. So it's going to be very interesting now to see where is he going to come out on this track. Will he come out behind Evan? I think he's probably got the gap back to Logan down in P5 there. You see about a 28 second gap, something like that, between Evan and Josh. I imagine that's where he's going to come out, but can he use his pace to try and fight back through the traffic? Because remember, if he finishes P2 in this race, the championship is effectively over. We want to try and stay in championship contention, but it's sort of out of our hands at this point. We're doing everything we can in this race. We've got the race lead. It's going to be down to, I think it's going to be down to Evan in that Ferrari, because he has made a pit stop already, whereas Connor hasn't. He's going to have to try and close Chris off, stop him getting through, but that's going to be a difficult task. You can see the gap between them is about 5 seconds, and Chris is on brand new soft compound tyres. So that's going to be interesting to see in the final few laps of this race. As we cut on now to lap 21, you can see 10-second gap back to Evan. Chris is all over the back of him. They're switching positions in the top left all the time as they have their little ding-dong battle over P2. As I said, I was cheering Evan on at this point. We want the championship to at least go to the next round. We don't want Chris winning it too early, but it does look like Evan has got his hands full in that fight on much more worn tyres, and Chris once again showing his incredible pace. If he does win the championship, well, let's face it, when he wins the championship, he fully deserves it this season. After a poor couple of first races, he's really just switched on after that first race at Britain. He's been absolutely incredible this year, and as you can see, he's jumped back ahead. He is now into P2, and I am fully expecting him to start pulling that gap now on those soft tyres. It's now just a case of, can he hunt me down? There's about 6 or 7 laps to go. He's about 10 seconds behind, so we definitely got our work out here. Like I said, he is on fresher tyres, he is on better tyres than we are. So we're just going to have to try and manage the pace now, manage the gap back to Chris. Unfortunately, it does look like the championship's going to be over, barring a miracle, to be honest. We're going to need Chris to crash out, and like I said, he's been pretty much an alien this season. But, you know, we can only hope, and there are still a lot of laps to go in this Grand Prix. Nothing is ever certain in Formula 1. And saying that, we go on to lap 24 now. You see the gap's down to about 6.5 seconds, I think that is on my preview window. It's quite hard to see. But we're coming through the final sector now. He has gained a few seconds on us. There are going to be 3 laps to go at the end, so we've got to gain about 2 seconds a lap on us. A little bit more if he wants to overtake us. So it's starting to get a bit squeaky bum time now, but I felt like I had a bit of pace in hand if needed to try and hold off that McLaren driver on an absolute rampage behind us. But as we come around these final 2 corners now, we pass the pit entry there. As we come around the final corner, a full course safety car is deployed because X O'Connor is retired from this race. That's great for us in terms of our fight with him for P2 in the championship, but an absolute disaster for us because we do not have the chance to pit now. And as you can see there, Chris behind us has come into the pits and is going to get that free pit stop behind the safety car that is going to allow him to be right up behind us as the safety car restarts on a brand new set of soft tyres, whereas we're going to be sat here on mediums that we've been running since about lap 10. So this is going to take absolutely all of our defensive prowess at this point. Obviously we have been battling Chris a few races this season. We have managed to keep him behind quite a bit, so hopefully we can do that again. But this race has just taken a whole new dynamic. As you can see, there's only going to be 2 laps to go at the end of this lap. So there's not going to be a lot of time left for Chris. If he wants to make this move, he's going to have to get it done pretty quickly. We can see B Dodo there is behind us. Unfortunately for him, just had some incredible bad luck, and he is actually a lap down now after that incredible start that he had. But here you can see the safety car is coming in with 2 laps of this race to go. This safety car restart, I'm just trying to slow it down as much as possible, trying to keep Chris backed up in the pack. He does have a lapped car in front of him, so I'm kind of hoping if we can just keep him in that traffic, it'll mean that we can get away. As you see, we're going to bolt here out of the second to last corner. We go through the final corner, and we now have 2 laps to try and keep Chris behind us. The only saving grace really is obviously there will be no DRS between now and the end of the race. DRS not active for 2 laps after the safety car, and there's only 2 laps left, so we're going to have that in our arsenal to keep us behind. But obviously he's going to be so much quicker on those tyres. The soft compound tyre, when they're brand new, is about 0.6 of a second quicker. And obviously we've run about 10 or 15 laps already on this tyre, like I said a minute ago. So this is going to take everything I've got to try and defend. We're throwing the car into the corners, trying to just get as much speed out of it as possible. track extending a tiny bit, but Chris is doing the same behind us because he wants this race win. Obviously, it looks like he's going to win the championship anyway. All he has to do is finish P2, but he's all over the back of us here. We are not going to be giving this up very lightly. We want this race win. We want to finally beat Chris in a race. Obviously, the last few races that we have fought in Vietnam and Spa spring to mind. We had them taken away from us, so I want to beat him on track this season. I really hope we can get it done. I hope we don't have any shenanigans that are going to rob us of this race win. That was what was going through my mind, but unfortunately, we come down the straight, Chris is alongside, and then the game crashes. Yet, once again, the game has found a way of screwing us over, screwing us out of a race win. Obviously, Chris might have got through there anyway, but as you can see, my Xbox crashed to the home screen, and that is the race done. As you can see, here are the race results. We did manage to finish P4 with our AI, just missing out on a podium to Logan Josh. Incredible result for him. Obviously, last weekend he didn't have the greatest result at Suzuka, but a podium for him, absolutely fantastic to see. Evan does finish in P2, so he's going to gain a few points on us in our fight in the championship. Chris wins, he's the champion now, but once again, absolute heartbreak for us. Nothing we could have done there. Yeah, I just don't know what to say at this point. It's getting a bit beyond the joke. Maybe I need a new Xbox, I don't know. But I didn't think there was anything left to screw me over, but apparently there is. And obviously an unfortunate consequence of that is there will be no highlights for this race, because obviously if you don't finish, then you don't get the highlights. But here we are on the championship standings. Chris is now your champion on 234 points. We are in P2 with 2 rounds to go. We have got a 25-point lead over X O'Connor, so hopefully we can try and hold on to that P2. Connor and Evan actually now tied on points, so that's going to be very, very interesting to see going into the final round. Kai, after that retirement, is still on 104 points, looks pretty safe for that P5, I'd have to say. And then we have a very tight battle over P6 between the one and only Haymaker and Jack, separated by just 11 points now. It's going to be interesting to see who can come out as best of the rest in that one. Vando, still on 55 points, hasn't scored a lot in the second half of the season, but he is still in the top 10. And B. Dodo, once again, retains top 10 for the Alpha Tauri team. As we go onto the Constructors standings now, McLaren have sewn up the Constructors Championship. There is only 88 points available, so Mercedes would tie them, but I think McLaren would win on races 1, thanks to Chris's incredible run this season. Us and Mercedes separated by just 2 points going into the last 2 rounds. Definitely going to be the championship battle to watch. The battle over P4 between Racing Point and Ferrari, the gap has started to grow there, but with 2 rounds to go, it's still all to play for there. Alpha Tauri have incredibly pulled away in P6 in the championship due to some great results over the last few rounds from B. Dodo and Logan Josh getting the podium today. Williams are up into P7 with 35 points, and Red Bull are bringing up the rear on 30. But that is it for this video. If you have enjoyed our return to our sim racing content, do leave a like on the video. It does help me engage with you guys. Let me know what content you guys are enjoying. So if you are enjoying it, leave a like. It's very, very helpful. It does help the channel out as well. If you are new around here, please do consider subscribing to the channel. It really does help me out a lot. We are aiming to hit 100 subs by the end of this year, by the end of 2020. That would be my Christmas present, so hopefully you guys can help me out with that. And like I said at the end of the last video, maybe we'll do a 100 subscriber Q&A or a face reveal or something like that, just to incentivize you guys to hit that subscribe button. Do share it around with people who might enjoy the content as well. Like I said, it really does help me out. This is something I'm really passionate about. I do enjoy making YouTube videos for you guys, and the more people that watch it, the more exposure I get, which means more people watch it, and eventually, hopefully, I can do this full time, because that is what I would love to do. But enough self-promotion. Thank you very, very much for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, goodbye.